For Trust Africa, we believe that communities are actually holding the solutions to most of the pressing challenges that we are facing. So for Trust Africa, in terms of how can we really ensure that these communities, especially in terms of their voice and participation, is being catalyzed, but also is being heard in the different policy-making spaces, as well as in driving agriculture or agri-food system transformation. So it is strengthening their capacities, but also supporting their efforts in terms of grants that work for them, in terms of catalyzing spaces. So mostly, you find that either it's the voices of the women or the voices of the youth that may not be heard in policy-making spaces. So Trust Africa comes in to provide that kind of a support in terms of what is the advocacy agenda that they would want to spearhead, but also how can we create platforms that are as inclusive and accommodative to the different voices. African philanthropy, in the moment that we are in, where we are redefining our role, but also redefining the agriculture we want on the continent, plays that role where that financing or that investment comes in without ties. It's not defined, it's not on a particular agenda, so it can support some of the novel ideas that are coming from the youth entrepreneurs that just need capital without really a well-defined structure, either mostly defining on what kind of impact do you want to see. It must fit in a particular log frame. So Africa Philanthropy gives us that space where it can really support that kind of investment that is not really tied to an externally driven agenda, but also it will look within Africa to drive that. So funding and investment that is really going to promote the innovations that are coming out, that the youth are driving, the Africa-led solutions, community-driven solutions. And for Trust Africa, this philanthropy is not necessarily that the one that we are looking at, maybe the Dangotes of this world. We also focus at the community. We look in the ways, how does Africa give? Can Africa mobilize that particular giving towards addressing agriculture solutions, building resilience, addressing climate justice? So this is the role that African philanthropy can to provide that capital that can really support novel ideas, new ideas, without necessarily overburdening people in debt, but also filling in already defined frameworks that can be decolonized or that can be reformed to really fit that. So the role of African philanthropy is very critical at this particular moment in time to support the agenda that we want as Africans. The beauty about Trust Africa and FANRPAN are that we are all Pan-African institutions. So we are looking within ourselves and looking at the convening power that we both have. So for FANRPAN, it's got a great way to connect with scientists, researchers, policymakers, and Trust Africa has, for the longest time since 2006, building social movements, bringing voices from the youth, from the women, the marginalized. So we can all play that role by convening these spaces that can now bring the different voices so that researchers and scientists and policymakers are not talking at one corner, and movements and social movements, youth and women, are also talking in the different corner. But that together, we become that magnet that can connect the different voices so that we can really come up with a truly inclusive, participatory, and something that can accelerate the development, that people are listening to each other and we are co-creating solutions that taking into account the needs and the interests of the different groups in the ecosystem of agri-food system transformation. The youth, I think they are bringing in new energies. They're actually saying that, yes, it is not just about youth inclusion. Now we're talking about youth leading the conversations. We see youth driving the climate justice questions. We see youth coming, agripreneurs, entrepreneurs, Earlier, we met a youth from Zambia who is dealing in cassava. So they are looking at not just smallholder producers waiting to receive subsidies. They are driving the agenda. They just need a little bit more of a push. So we see that the playing field has changed. The youth conversation are no longer, they say that we are speaking for the youth, but the youth are now at the center of the table, driving this agri-food system transformation. So this is what we are seeing, that when we are talking about aligning regional policies for agri-food system transformation, that alignment, it is with youth leadership, it is with women-led solutions as well. So that's the excitement that we see, that our youth are not just going to be used as political machinery to drive politics and to votes, but they are the ones that are at the center driving this agri-food system transformation. And we cannot be more proud for for the youth that are upcoming in these spaces of conversations, but also really driving action in spaces that matter.